Morning. My name is Robin Muller, and I'm the CEO and head coach of College Ready Playbook. A little background on me, and it'll give you an insight into why this became. I coached women's basketball for 15 years at the Division I level, all down south. You might hear a little accent. And then I was also a Division II athletic director. And that brings me to just a little comparison I want to present to you in that, does anyone here know the difference between a northern fairy tale and a southern fairy tale? A northern fairy tale always starts out once upon a time. A southern fairy tale starts out, y'all ain't gonna believe this. And the point being that there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I'm skinning a different cat here. College Ready Playbook is essentially a service for high school athletes and their parents to learn and understand and navigate the NCAA eligibility rules. Now, some of you may or may not know that if you're going to play Division I or Division II athletics, you have to fulfill certain academic requirements with a specific grade point average, with a specific test score, and then schools can actually say, yes, you can play. It's different than recruiting, and that's where I'm different. I'm not a recruiting service. A recruiting service is going to send out videos or mailers to college coaches all over the place. And having been a college coach, take that, goes in the trash. I know who I want. But you as a parent, how do you get your son or daughter into these places without using something like that? First, you need to make sure you're eligible. And I recently did a little blog on my website that said, what about a walk-on? Think about the walk-ons that you may or may not know. Hunter Renfro from Clemson, who caught the winning national championship football pass. Corey Matthews that plays for Green Bay Packers. He was a walk-on. Watts, who plays for Houston, was a walk-on. And it's incredible to think about these professional athletes who had walked on, but what needs to be the common thread is, and especially now that the NCAA has said you have to have these requirements, how do you become that walk-on? You have to be prepared. So I'm going to prepare you. I'm going to take you as a freshman or sophomore, and I'm going to guide you through this NCAA turbulent water of what classes do you have to have, how many English, how many math. And then we're going to look at those grades that you need to be attaining. Then the other component, that's a little academic side, but where do I fit? Do I want to be a big fish in a little pond? You know, do I want to go to that smaller school, that Division II, Bloomsburg University, but be big man on campus, big woman on campus, get all that playing time? Or are you content to go to a Penn State and ride the bench and possibly walk on and be that Hunter Renfro? So part of what I want to do with my clients is to sit down and map out, what do you want to be when you grow up? Who do you want to be? And then how to get there. There are over 350 Division II schools in the country that people don't think about because all you see is the big timers on television. And I have contacts into several of those because I broadcast for men's and women's basketball on television. So I'm traveling the countryside as well, and what that allows me to do is find these schools and see what's special about them and bring that back to my client and say, hey, have you thought about this particular school? They offer this, what you want academically. It's a smaller size. It may be in Kentucky, but everything's a flight now. And presenting them these options of where these schools are, what these schools can give to them, and how best for them to approach those coaches and those individuals who might be the decision makers. And believe me, when you're at a smaller school, smaller Division I, Division II, if you can have somebody reaching out to you and they have a skill set that fills the void that you need, it makes recruiting that much better because you don't have those big giant, big time budgets to travel around the countryside to find these people. So this all came about noodling in my head for, I guess since when you're coaching, you get fired all the time. So since the last time I was fired. But how can I take that information and what I know and my passion for helping young people and my passion for educating and turn that into something that could be worthwhile? And so sitting on the beach in the Cayman Islands literally 2 years ago, and I was talking to my best friend from college, and her son had gone through a counselor on the academic side. I'm like, you know what? That's what these kids need who are interested in athletics. They need a counselor on the athletic side, but more than just a recruiter. They need someone to guide and to navigate and to explain and to give them that information so that it's all about the preparation. So regardless of what school, if you walk up to a coach and say, I want to walk on, and the guy next to you also does, if you're eligible already, he's going to take you. So that's what I have.
I said to Robin just now, you know, like on she's broadcast on ESPN. I said, you know, when they do those little trailers of like, tonight at 8 o'clock, NCIS, and she should be mentioning it.
Right.
You guys thought about college
That's right.
on TV, that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, it would. Yes, sir.
Hey Rob, I'm just curious. So my background is online education. Are you working currently with any online, larger, like those nationally based online high school programs? Just wondering if you're connected with them.
Not currently, and that's really where where I need the most help right now. And I only launched last April, so this is a baby program. But how to continue to get the word out there, how to get in front of these parents, because when I do talk to them, they're like, oh my God, I need you. You know, and whenever I'm just visiting, just out and about. But it's getting in front of the high schools, the booster clubs, the parent groups, and letting them know that this is here and it's available. And that right now is my biggest challenge. And admittedly, I'm not a salesperson. I know that about myself. I'm not a great salesperson. I'm a good storyteller. But to be able to go out there and say, you need me, and to find those different avenues. Once I get in front of somebody, then yes, I can get you to
in
sign.
a way, are you sort of selling a peace of mind for the parents, saying, hey, I got this, I'm going to help your kid through this process. You can go about, because I as a parent, I would need somebody, I would pay somebody to say, all right, we got this, you know, we're going to work through this checklist, here's your kid's plan, and you know, on a monthly basis, I'm going to check in or something. Is that sort of the
Yes, and that's kind of the protocol, and that's what I'm doing currently. I have about a dozen clients so far, and I check in with them monthly.
Okay.
They have the ability to reach me anytime via email and go over, you know, hey, I have this question. I have one young man, he's my senior in the group, and he's actually out of Northern Virginia, and been working with him since last spring. And he has all his ducks in a row, but then the other question was, well, what about the school? What do you want to study? And one of the schools that he was interested in, because his grandmother lives in the area, is Western Carolina University. Well, it just so happens that through my television work, I know the men's basketball coach. I could reach out to him and say, hey, here's a guy that's interested. He sent something right away back and said, have him, you know, reach out to that recruiting coordinator in that region and his staff. He said, we don't have any scholarships. I said, you know, yeah, but he might be a good guy to walk on. So that's kind of where we are right now. But I need to get this reach out there. I think this is something that, again, could blow up like Titus's, but I need to get it out there.
So you're looking for the distribution channels and ways in which to set up that network with the online programs and the high schools.
Yes.
And those specifically in the booster area, and also with guidance counselors to do the academic.
Yes, and to be able to
bring together
partner
the
with them.
academic. Okay.
Yeah, and to, you know, we do have some, you know, I have a website that I've generated and created, and it has all the bells, you know, the fancy stuff. And once this does blow up, my vision is to create more of a software platform that is self-involving with the athletes as well, where we're touching base, or they get a ping, an app that says, hey, you know, these test dates are available for the SAT or the ACT. You know, ping, this is due to the NCAA, get it sent, your transcript, your whatever.
And then it'll check off. Do you have packages that you have where you have the pricing set up and arranged for groups, or is it just geared towards individual sales prices at this point?
Right now, it's individual sales prices, and basically, as I'm starting, it's a flat rate. So I could start with you as a sophomore, I'll start with you as a senior, it's gonna be the same rate right now. Now, I do have a picture of growth in that. I would like to set up tiers of packages where someone, you know, hey, I want just a streamline, you're gonna give me what those rules are, you're gonna check in with me, you know, once a month, but it's all gonna be via email, reminders. The next package would be more hands-on, face-to-face. The upper level would be, you know, where are you, let's hold your hand all the way through, and let's see if we can create some interest from the schools that you like. So that is my eventual picture. But just then, you know, hitting the ground, let's just get some bodies in here, let's, you know, kind of work through the kinks, but also get the word out. Yes?
I recently attended something similar. It wasn't as focused on academics, it was more on recruiting. And what I noticed from your presentation, it was more personable, where that one, I was kind of turned off because it was definitely a sales pitch. And then the following, I kept getting sales type emails. So I would definitely focus on that yours more personable. And reach out to athletic directors, because I know ours was very interested in having this gentleman come in and talk to parents, because parents have questions, they don't understand the process. The second thing I would just also note, going from your presentation and also the one that I had heard, he had focused a lot on football, and then you know, I heard you mention basketball. I would just be very cautious to keep referring to basketball, because then people will just assume, well, you know, if only if you would be, you know, my kid would be beneficial only if they played basketball.
Yeah.
So maybe use some other examples as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, and that's perfect. And I do have a golfer, tennis, you know, and so yes.
So
And I have reached out to at least all the area athletic directors. I sent them a little notice of, hey, I will come speak to your groups. And so I think, you know, it's for something like this, to send about 100 and send out some more blasts on it. But, you know, I want to come in and talk to those kids. I want to come into the high schools or for the ADs or their coaches and say, you know, let me help you. I want to be out there and give you this information.
I was just going to say, because to me, you have the storytelling ability. You know, self-admittedly, you can tell stories. And I think that, to me, that's a huge advantage, rather than being salesy, sort of a sales pitch thing. People can relate to your storytelling better than you feel like they're having something pushed on them. And I think you should use that to your advantage. There's nothing wrong with personal interaction. You know, you can send email blasts and postcards and all that, but to me, there's nothing like, hey, you know, trying to make direct contact and using your story and your verbalizing what your goal is, what your mission is, and who you want to help and why, rather than in just a printed form. I think that interaction is going to be huge, because not a lot of people will do that.
Thank you.
Do parents ever say, well, our high school guidance counselor can do that or something? Because in my experience, like, my kids don't even know who their guidance counselors are. You know, they're so busy with other stuff that the kids are not really tapping into them at all. So do you ever hear?
And I have
don't see
heard
that as competition.
I've heard that a lot, and I don't see, you know, in fact, I have a niece and nephew who, well, my niece is finishing up her senior year, and my brother and sister-in-law said she's in a school of 3,000. They don't know her. She doesn't know them. She's like, I might have talked to them one time. But they're using an independent guidance counselor to help her plan it out. And certainly I think that that's very valid. That guidance counselors of old, when I was in school, that actually sort of guided you to those colleges is a lot different than what they're doing now, from what I understand.
Hey, I would agree with what was mentioned. I mean, I think your authenticity is amazing. Like, I want to work with you, and I don't have kids who are ready for college yet. But I think what's even better about that is you're training young students how to then, you know, get that skill and learn how to talk about themselves. And I love that you focused on students a lot, or said, you know, the student themselves and not just the parents, because I think so many times services like this are just aimed at parents. And then what happens is the parents get trained on how to do everything, and then the seniors are ready to graduate college, and they have no idea how to navigate anything.
Right.
So I think the fact that you're doing that from high school is great. And something that just popped into my mind, so I'm just going to share it. I mean, I know when we meet with our financial advisor twice a year or whatever, my husband and I, again, saving for college, but kids aren't near that age yet. You know, we always just talk about it, check on it. I don't know if it would make sense for you to connect with certain financial advisors or things like that.
Okay.
Because, you know, it would just be more of a referral. Hey, have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Here's someone, because, you know, we do know people who help plan for college, but if
Right.
this is a specific niche,
Yeah.
and again, you're super authentic, so I think the more people you can talk to just helps spread the word and know that you're a great resource.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank
I don't know if this is even a thing, but do you do any damage control? Like a current student in a college that has fallen out of?
You know, I can do that. My background I was a compliance officer when I was a Division II athletic director, and so part of my role in that was the eligibility once they were there. And again, the germination of this thought in the back of my head was, one was working with the kids who got on campus who weren't eligible, the cross-country teams loading up the van, and this kid can't go with them because all the T's haven't been crossed. The other is that athlete that's already there that is struggling and they're having a hard time staying eligible, or they end up transferring somewhere, coming in from a junior college. Those are all areas within my wheelhouse that could be a growth factor as well. But I think the most difficult part about that is that's if they're already on campus, if they're already within the system, they're working with with the compliance officers there, and in theory, their coaches want them to be there, so they're really pushing through that. Now, if it's a kid that has left school because they became ineligible, then they want to go back, that would be another niche client.
If they're already on a team, the school's going to be focused on them.
They're gonna, yes, if they're already on a team, unless the coach wants to run them off, they're gonna make sure that they're getting what they need in terms of tutoring, in terms of how to follow that coursework that's required once you're on campus.
So this is more of a branding type of question. So I was looking at your banner for quite a bit in College Ready Playbook, and I understand what you're doing with the Playbook part of it, is referring to sports. But it took me a while to kind of like put two and two together. So ideally with your branding, you want to try to convey your message or what it is, your value proposition as quickly as you possibly can. This may be a copyright issue, I don't know, with NCAA's, but I mean, I would consider trying to you're basically putting your value proposition all the way to the bottom there. Like, NCAA ready Playbook would be maybe that's a copyright issue, I don't know. But I would try to figure out a way to really make your branding convey your value proposition as quickly as you possibly can in your name. So college ready, I don't know. I have kids that are, all my kids are geeks, so they wouldn't play a day of sports in their life. They're all computer guys. I would look at that and say, wow, I wonder if I could use her. So you may get a lot of, if you don't really kind of hone your branding down, you may get a lot of unqualified leads, which could eat up some of your time.
Right.
So something to think about.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Robin, one thing, so Missy said, hey, maybe you could connect with financial advisors who are advising parents about the future for college for their kids. Another organization, have you reached out to United States or national youth sports organizations, field hockey, soccer, lacrosse, and so their player development programs, their summer camps for elite players. I imagine parents bringing star young player, middle school, early high school even, to that development camp. Student is getting that training experience. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to speak to the parents at an event like that or through those networks.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And in fact, have not reached out, but I had gone to Ohio to see my older brother. My nephew there plays soccer, and so we went to the soccer thing, and there were 20 fields of soccer players going, just on and all day long. And I'm like, this is where I need to start getting there. So tapping into some of these organizations, and they're more regionally directed initially. So it's, trying to hit into the regions and then building into the national summit. Yes, I see that as having great potential as well.
Just to add to that, those are the parents that will spend the money.
Yeah, yes, you're right, exactly. Because they think everyone's a Division I player when they're there. Yeah. Yes.
12-year-olds.
Right. They're going to be, World Cups in their future. Yeah. Anything else? Well, I really appreciate the feedback and the opportunity to present.
We always want to end. We're going to bring Titus back up because it's kind of another opportunity, and we have a couple minutes before. The question kind of is, now that you've both been through this, and this is our first time as the audience, think about all the questions that you've had, and now the question is, what can we do for you? And so I know you kind of just came off your presentation, so let's start with you, Robin. If you can kind of boil up, but just what can we do for you, and then Titus, maybe you can go.
Well, I love some of the ideas and fantastic thoughts about different areas to contact to continue to get the word out. And I think that's the biggest thing. How to, I need to get the word out. I want people to be able to find me and use this service. So as you're going about your lives and you see other people in athletics, or I like the financial advisors thing, it's like, hey, I know somebody that has this stuff. Can you present her information to your clients or your people or in your church group, and I mean, everybody's sphere of influence is huge when you start boiling into it, and I would just appreciate any community extensions that you might be able to offer for me.
Right.
Actually, I knew this question was coming up, and I thought about it, and I forgot about it, and I thought about it some more, and I haven't come up with anything great other than you guys want to just stay here and do this Q&A thing the rest of the day. That was really helpful. It just, basically, any ideas, questions that you have that you could ask me to make me think, or point any ideas you guys have, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm sorry I don't have anything better than that, but
I would love if you could take a business card or take one of my flyers with you. That'd be great.
More prepared than I am.
No. you had digital. I didn't.
Please feel free to stay around and network and certainly answer some of those last questions. So again, thank you. Remember our next event, December 6th. And please help yourself to additional coffee in the back. Again, a big thank you to Mike for being our host. Thank you, Mike, so much. And to both of you, congratulations and thank you. So hang around, you can chat, and we'll be here for a while. Thank you.